Okay, so you want to own an MMA company. Sign some fighters, book an arena, sell some tickets, put it on pay-per-view, and watch the money come in every time two people step into a cage. That's the picture. Here's the problem. Most fighters on your roster are, in a very real sense, working for you without a guaranteed paycheck most months. The broadcasters who make your event famous can also make your entire business model. And the biggest star you'll ever sign might one night decide he doesn't need you at all. Let's take this apart the way someone who actually runs one of these promotions has to see it. First, let's talk about why this business even works the way it does. Unlike a football team or a basketball team, most fighters in mixed martial arts are not employees. They are independent contractors, hired on a fight-by-fight basis under multi-fight contracts, often for a set number of bouts stretched out over several years. This single structural choice shapes almost everything else about how this business runs. A promotion does not carry the same year-round payroll obligation that a traditional sports league does. You only really pay a fighter when he actually steps into the cage. That sounds like a dream setup for an owner, and in some ways it is. But it comes with a catch that has caused enormous public controversy in this sport for decades. Because most fighters have no players' union and no guaranteed base salary, a promotion has enormous leverage over how much of the total revenue a fight actually generates gets shared with the two people risking their bodies to create it. Some independent research into the largest MMA promotions has estimated that fighter pay, across the roster as a whole, has historically landed somewhere between 15 and 20% of total revenue. Compare that to major American sports leagues, where players often take home 50% or more of total league revenue, and you start to understand why this business can look so profitable from the ownership side. Now, before we go further, let's talk about the cost of actually building a promotion big enough to matter. You need fighters, obviously, and signing a deep roster across multiple weight classes is not cheap. A promotion competing at the top level needs several hundred fighters under contract to fill out a full annual schedule of events. Even at modest average payouts, that adds up to tens of millions of dollars a year in fighter compensation alone once you include win bonuses, performance bonuses, and the special bonuses handed out for a spectacular knockout or a memorable fight of the night. Then there's the actual event itself, and this is where costs multiply quickly. Renting a major arena for a single night can cost anywhere from a few $100,000 to well over $1 million, depending on the city and the size of the venue. On top of that, you need a full broadcast production crew, cameras, commentary teams, replay systems, and a production truck parked outside, capable of sending a broadcast-quality signal around the world. A single high-level event, once you add security, insurance, medical staff required to be on site for every single bout, and the traveling production team can easily cost several $1,000,000 to stage from start to finish, before a single fighter has even been paid. Here's where it gets interesting though, because most people assume the money in this business comes from ticket sales at the arena. That's only a small piece of the picture. Live gate revenue, meaning tickets sold to people physically in the building, is often one of the smallest slices of total event revenue for a major promotion. The real money comes from somewhere else entirely. The single biggest revenue driver, historically, has been broadcast rights. A major promotion signs a long-term deal with a television network or a streaming platform, and that single contract can be worth hundreds of millions of dollars a year, sometimes over $1 billion across the life of the agreement. This is the piece of the business that changed everything. Once a promotion locks in a guaranteed broadcast payment, it no longer has to rely purely on how many people buy tickets or order a pay-per-view for any single night. The broadcaster is paying for the right to show fights regularly, win or lose, which gives the promotion a steady, predictable stream of cash that used to come entirely from unpredictable, event-by-event pay-per-view buys. Speaking of pay-per-view, that used to be the backbone of this entire industry, and it's worth understanding why that changed. For years, major MMA events made enormous sums by charging individual households $50 to $80 just to watch one single night of fights, split between the promotion, the fighters on the biggest bouts, and the platform distributing the broadcast. A truly massive event, the kind built around two enormous stars, could generate over 1 million individual pay-per-view purchases, translating into tens of millions of dollars from that single night alone. But pay-per-view is unpredictable. A great matchup can dramatically overperform, while an ordinary card with no major star attached can quietly lose money once production costs are factored in. This volatility is exactly why the industry has shifted so heavily toward the predictability of long-term broadcast and streaming deals instead. Sponsorships are the next major piece. Every logo on the cage, every banner around the arena, every brand mentioned by the commentary team during the broadcast is a paid placement. Global brands pay significant sums to be associated with the sport's biggest stars and its biggest nights. And unlike ticket sales, sponsorship revenue doesn't depend on how many people physically show up to the building. It depends entirely on how many eyeballs are watching around the world, which is exactly why a promotion's broadcast reach matters so much more than its arena size. Merchandising and licensing add another layer. Branded apparel, video game licensing deals, and international event licensing, where a promotion is paid simply to bring its brand and its production expertise to a new country, all quietly add up across a full year of events. None of this is as dramatic as a knockout on a Saturday night, but across dozens of events a year, it becomes a meaningful and remarkably stable slice of total revenue. Now, here's the twist that makes this business genuinely risky, and it comes down to one uncomfortable truth. The entire economic engine depends on a small handful of true superstar fighters. An event headlined by a widely recognized star can sell out an arena and drive enormous broadcast viewership. The exact same production budget, the exact same arena rental, the exact same broadcast crew spent on an event without a recognizable headliner can generate a fraction of the revenue. The costs barely change. The revenue swings wildly. This is why promotions spend so much effort and so much money trying to build new stars rather than simply running fights. And this creates the single biggest risk in the entire business. Because most fighters are independent contractors rather than employees under a strict league structure, a promotion's biggest asset, its most famous fighter, can eventually leave. Some of the sport's biggest names have, at different points, publicly clashed with their promotions over pay, or simply walked away once their contract expired, taking years of built-up star power with them. Unlike a basketball league, where a superstar leaving one team still keeps him inside the same overall business, a fighter leaving an MMA promotion can walk entirely out of that company's revenue stream and into a rival's. This is also why the biggest promotions have invested heavily in health and pension programs, matchmaking systems designed to build new stars from the ground up, and increasingly in owning as much of their own broadcast and streaming infrastructure as possible. The goal is to make the brand itself, the belt, the reputation, the production quality, bigger than any single fighter, so the business survives even when a superstar retires or moves on. Let's talk about costs on the other side of the ledger, because this is a genuinely expensive business to run well. Medical requirements alone are significant. Every fighter on every card needs pre-fight medical clearance, ringside physicians, ambulances on standby, and post-fight medical suspensions that are tracked and enforced by athletic commissions in every jurisdiction where the promotion operates. Regulatory licensing fees have to be paid in every state or country hosting an event, and those rules are not universal, meaning a promotion running a truly global calendar needs teams of staff whose entire job is simply understanding and complying with dozens of different regulatory systems at once. Then there's the marketing machine required to build a fighter into a star in the first place. Documentary-style content, embedded video series following a fighter's training camp, and heavy social media production are now considered essential tools, not optional extras, because a fighter's personal following often translates directly into how many people tune in to watch him fight. Promotions increasingly function as much like content studios as they do sports organizations, producing hours of footage every week, specifically designed to build the kind of personal stardom that used to only happen through word of mouth. So does owning an MMA promotion actually work as a business? The honest answer depends entirely on scale and how well the company manages that dependence on individual stars. A small regional promotion, running local events with little broadcast reach and no major stars, operates on razor-thin margins, largely surviving on modest ticket sales and local sponsorships, with very little room for a bad year. A major global promotion, the kind with a long-term broadcast deal, a deep and constantly refreshed roster of stars, and international events run in multiple countries every year, operates on a completely different level. It isn't really selling individual fights anymore. It's selling a dependable, ongoing entertainment product that broadcasters, sponsors, and fans all commit to well in advance, with any single fight night being just one data point in a much larger, steadier business. An MMA company, in the end, is not really a fight business. It's a media and entertainment business wearing a cage as its logo. The fighters bring the drama that pulls people in. Everything after that, the broadcast deal, the sponsorship logos, the merchandise, the international licensing, is where the real economics of the business quietly live.